his channel tonight.
Just Pearly Things. Obviously, you lot know the YouTube channel. You know Pearl. I work with Pearl personally. I've known her for quite a while now. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying a lot of stuff after she did the interview with Nick.
Once again, this is on Pearl's sofa in Pearl's house in Pearl's studio with Pearl's industry standard Shure mics. So his platform has taken a leap since working with Pearl because he has Pearl's studio to his disposal. And when you have black employees handcuffed like that and you know they're reliant on your program and you're completely disrespectful to the culture, you know you can do it chest up because you have these niggas reliant on your coin. A lot of these niggas will never work with black folk. They always say the opportunity is not there to work with your own kind. Everybody wants to be that nigga. Nobody wants to work under a nigga and feel like a pawn, but they'll work under any white person. And then the black women work together and they come up, and then these niggas is jealous at these black women. Oh, your PhDs, your X, Y, and Z. Nah, they're working together and they're getting it out the mud. But y'all will only be employed by other whites, or you won't work with blacks. You'll stay dusty and broke. So it is what it is, man. As a YouTuber, I don't think you should ever be employed or be beholden to somebody else's infrastructure. You should be completely solo because this is an entrepreneurial endeavor. You should be standing on your own twos. Somebody fucks up, you don't have to be beholden to them. You can say, I'm not fucking with that. That doesn't represent my brand properly. But now you're stuck doing this. So wear your cape, nigga. Wear your cape. Let's get it.
Fuentes, obviously very controversial. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna say my views and opinions about what transpired and what went down. But first of all, we're gonna react to a video by Mediocre Tutorials MTR. Obviously you've seen that he was in London and he did some work with us, and then he had some choice.
Now there's a reason why I only played a little bit of the MTR video, because he reacts to it in his reaction to the Pearl situation. So I didn't want to double react to it. I only kept the part in where he shouted out the black women content creators, because this nigger cut her out for some reason. He said, fuck that, we're not promoting these black women, and he cut it out. Loyal to Pearl.
Nigga, you just hating, feel me?
Let's get it.
Words to say about Pearl as well. So we're going to react to it. I'm going to be very honest. I'm just going to tell it how it is, and that's it. Gonna keep it very real, and a lot of you have been waiting for me to say something, so here it is. All right, let's get to the reaction first. All right, let's run it. Do not agree with anything he has to say. I don't agree with any of his ideologies, right? I just want to say that from the outset. And you know, even he just said, well, I am kind of racist, and you know, that says it all. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm gonna say from the start, but let's continue with the
He's talking about Nick Fuentes at that point. I kind of fast forwarded over the part he said his name, but he was talking about Nick Fuentes' ideology he does not agree with, because he kind of dissed him in that video as well.
reaction. Make sure you're hitting the...
He also has his girl working for Pearl. How did I gloss over that? Holy, this is a mess.
like button, all of you. Make sure you're hitting the like button and leaving comments and super chats and all that good stuff. Let's go.
I'm not gonna beat around the bush for this conversation, and I'm gonna get straight to the point. Pearl! You f***ed up. You knowingly invited a white supremacist and a self-proclaimed racist onto a platform.
Now,
all due respect, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear that from Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, because he went out to London. He's been working with Pearl for a long time. That interview's been up for over a week. He was reacting to the content that he did on their channel, on her channel, before his chat packed him out and made him switch positions because he was defending her.
Although it wasn't during his live stream, of course he was being dishonest. He already knew what was going on, but he was hoping it wouldn't be too bad. It was bad. When the chat room descended on him, the chat room started ripping him and mauling him. He tried to ignore it. He tried to explain it, but the people wouldn't stop. So he had a couple of days to consider whether or not he wanted to go down with the Pearly ship, and he decided to put out a video saying that he was holding her accountable.
As much as they're saying, oh, he has integrity, he's standing on his 2 feet, he knew her personally, they had a personal relationship, and he flip-flopped because the chat was packing him out. So I don't know about this. Jason Black says he's on probation. So let's see this shit.
I say that before now, he was charged with high treason. Last week, he was charged with high treason. This week, however, now that he's had an opportunity to review the facts on the ground, I said last week I'm giving everybody an opportunity to clean their paperwork up. It's time to clean up your paperwork. This was a tough decision for him. As you can see, he was stressed by this. This was tormenting him. Jason, what is the verdict at this time? We're putting you on probation. We're putting you on probation, is what we're doing. Not gonna give him. He's got a pass to go from home to the grocery store. We're putting him on probation. We will continue to monitor, but at this time he is on probation.
Which is primarily supported by, at least initially, and produced by black people. This comes across as insensitive to downright nasty.
I don't know. I don't really agree with that, MTR. I don't agree with that because, I mean, Pearl is not the first person to bring white supremacists or racists onto a show. I just don't agree with.
She's probably the first one to add more racist rhetoric to their rhetoric and grin teeth with them. She's probably the first.
That and the fact that Pearl has staff who are black, I mean, that, you know, that's beside the point. Do you know what I mean? I just think that she brought on a controversial person. Obviously, that was going to bring around like a conversation. It was going to get views. People are going to want to hear what goes down. I think that, you know, this is not the first show that has brought white supremacists on. Do you get what I'm saying? So, I mean, Oprah's done it. Jerry Springer's done it. A lot of other people with shows have done that thing. So I think you may be exaggerating that particular point a little bit. But anyway.
And I want to be clear. It's not just inviting said person to the conversation that's upsetting, because conversations with people who don't agree with each other or don't agree with a particular position, if done in a healthy way, can promote civil discourse.
Okay.
But your up was to not only not defend the people who help create the content on your platform, but to also push a narrative that is insensitive and damaging to those very same people. Pearl, you know that your staff is mostly
Hold on, y'all.
black people. And I'm talking about from a production perspective as well as a talent perspective. You also know that the majority of your content utilizes black people talking about black relationship issues. You could have had...
I'll say this from my own point of view. I've had my channel for many, many years before any of you even knew Just Pearly Things. Before I was working with her, I had a channel and I talked about, you know, racial issues and things.
Hold on, y'all. Just Pearly Things channel. You see this right here? This is the Whatever podcast. They have 3.98 million subscribers. The Whatever podcast. It's a white manosphere podcast that is essentially a bootleg Fresh and Fit. They have more than 3 times the subscribers as Fresh and Fit. Fresh and Fit has been trending all over the place. They've been on the Shade Room. They've had some sort of cultural impact. They've had rappers on. They've had all sorts of people on. This Whatever podcast just has viral clips that some people put on their social media here and there. Platforms like those have big numbers, big subscribers, but no real impact. No hating, but that's why they bring the niggas over. They got to get them hot. They got to get them some actual impact where people care. That's why No Jumper did what it did.
Of that nature, as well as, you know, the dating dynamics and, you know, men's self-improvement. So, you know, I just want to make that clear, because a lot of people, they're coming out and saying stuff along the lines of, oh yeah, you can't say nothing because Pearl's your boss and blah blah blah. I've always been able to say what I want on my channel, and that is just being consistent and constant. So I just want to make that clear.
Black people sitting in the same room with this person in order to combat some of the hellacious things that were coming out of his mouth, or to have a different perspective that would have lent itself well to demonstrate the respect for the people that watch your content and that you employ. I don't think that your platform would be as big as what it is today if it wasn't for the essential utilization of Black people, Black relationship topics, and Black talent. And the talent came from all over. When you include the likes of an Andrew Tate, all the way down to a Brittany Renner. And even from a content creator perspective, from me to a Melanie King, to a Sarah Garvey, to a King Richez, to an Auntie Jenny. So for those just unaware of what's been...
Whose fault is that for y'all to pour into somebody's platform and build them up to the point where they can shit on you? Whose fault is that? That's all of y'all. Y'all need to be accountable for that and realize that y'all would never do this for a Black woman. Y'all will reluctantly do this for a Black man. That nigga needs to jump through all the hoops and prove it for you. But y'all just elevated and propelled this white woman, so y'all have to live with the results. Y'all didn't vet her. Y'all didn't know what she was about. Y'all just claiming she was oblivious to these things, but she's making these big actions. So it's like, come on, man. You can't blame oblivious, or you can't claim oblivious. Andrew Tate's half Black.
Going
Tim
on.
Simmons, what up?
Pearl has recently come under fire for these particular comments.
I'm trying to get my Africans in America. My Africans. Oh gosh.
I don't know why you had to do that, like that little, rewind 3 times. Like, I mean, Brett, like it sounds like you're trying to, push a narrative with that, and I kind of feel like that's a bit unfair because you know Pearl personally. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you know her personally. You've had conversations with her. You've got to know her just as I've got to know her. You know she's not racist, bro. So, I think that, putting that little repeating.
We're going to react to Flacco defending Adam 22. And y'all are going to be like, this sounds similar to what we're hearing here. And it's going to, if he had some insight to that situation, or he watched Flacco do the house nigga shuffle.
Get a job, nigger.
If he's seen that happen, he would be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe she should just defend herself. Maybe I should just go on to regular scheduled programming since I'm not her employee, right? And you could just continue doing what you're doing, right? You're your own boss, right?
Yeah.
You don't even need to be doing this.
My Africans part.
Oh yeah, he was angry that MTR's editing's on point. Man, if niggas can edit, though, stop fucking with these editors, man. We have powers out here.
To me, that's a bit distasteful, but let's keep going.
Oh boy.
They're gonna be in trouble. This sounds similar to the slavery stuff too, because that's literally the founder of, or the guy who made Roots said, I wanted a myth for my people to live by. So they often, but that's what they do.
Hold on, you said you've seen a recent video on Kevin Samuel's channel and it was run by a white guy. How did that happen?
Is they embellish, and I'm not trying to say it wasn't horrible, it was.
Right.
But they want to make it like more horrible so that they can control people.
Let me just stop it there, yeah? And I'm going to be very honest, like, and I told Pearl, and I checked Pearl on that myself, like, the next day. I was just like, that was a really, like, poor choice of words. I think that she didn't really understand that, yeah, you are saying that slavery was horrible, but when you say embellish, it kind of makes it out to be like it wasn't as bad as people think it is. And she understands that it was bad. Do you get what I'm saying? She said it was horrible, but when you add the embellish part.
Peter Parker says the white guy was one of Kevin Samuel's close aides before his passing. He got his stamp of approval. He's good. Oh, okay. I'm thinking some random YouTube executive just took over his platform or some weird shit like that.
It just it comes across as sour. Do you get what I'm saying? It's going to rub people the wrong way. It's going to make people have just a bad reaction towards what you're saying and towards you as personally. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, as I said, I know Pearl personally. I've been around her for a long time, and if she was, I wouldn't work with her. It doesn't matter what money or what deal we're in, I wouldn't work with her. At the end of the day, she does a lot of things, a lot of positive things for a lot.
I think for some folks, they need the person to outright say and admit they're racist, or they have to hear them say nigger or something for them to actually believe they're racist. their actions, everything about them, their code words, none of that shit, the things that they do, none of it will make them enlightened to the fact that that person may be racist or have some racial bias. They'll stay in denial.
Of people and puts a lot of people in good positions, and she doesn't have to. Do you get what I'm saying? So I understand. I understand that she may have not really understood what she was saying, but I did have to let her know that it was.
Yeah, just because it's a white guy doesn't mean it's technically not one of Kevin Samuel's family members or close friends. Because I have pretty much every race in my family due to marriage. So it's like, it is what it is. You never know when it comes to his shit.
Taken offensively. Like, me personally watching it, I didn't like what she said, and I told her straight to her face that, you know, it left a sour taste in my mouth, and, you know, she has to address it. You know what I mean? I was very, like, straightforward, and looking in her eye, just as I'm looking at you lot in the eye, I told her she has to address that, and that's not okay. It's not cool, you know, and you know, it's gonna make people not like you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and that's it. So, yeah. And as for Nick Fuentes, I mean, he's Nick Fuentes. What do you expect? Like, he's a white supremacist, and to be honest with you, I feel like it may not have been a good idea for her to bring him on. Like, personally, I wouldn't have him on my channel. Obviously, as I am a black guy, I just don't agree with anything he's got to say, and I don't agree with his ideology. So, you know, we're not in the same team at all. Do you get what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Now, what's crazy is that I came across these comments while I was live streaming.
Stop the cap.
Now, what's crazy is that I came across these comments while I was live streaming a couple of days.
Cap. I'm going to let this slide here, mediocre, but dude, y'all got to stop this dishonesty. Cap. You were aware of it from the minute it happened. Cap.
A couple of days ago, and what started out as a laughy, jokey live stream where I wanted to talk about my time up in London quickly diverted to one of the worst live streams that I've ever had in my life. And honestly, it was a trip to hell as I discovered the magnitude of the conversation that she had with this figure by the name of Nick Fuentes. Specific to the...
I'll be real, I didn't even know who Nick Fuentes was.
Now, it was one of MTR's worst live streams because he was looking in the chat thinking,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
That's what was going on. Chat was cooking them. They were not having it.
Until he, you know, was here. I'd never heard of him. I didn't know anything about this guy, you know. But then I was quickly informed that, you know, he had these radical views. And, you know, I was just, you know, I was not really interested in working with him like that. I mean, you know, and even after when he left, I was very kind of like on edge about the whole dynamic of him being on anyone's channel. Do you know what I mean? So that was just my honest opinion. But yeah.
Comments regarding slavery being embellished. I said this on the stream, and I maintain it today, that Pearl needs to be held responsible for this comment, likening a quote from the writer of Roots explaining a myth for his people to hold on to does not negate the documented history of the atrocities that happened to black people.
And I will say this, like, again, in conversations with Pearl, I basically said the same thing, you know, obviously being a black person, you are going to have more of a deeper, you're going to have a deeper emotion towards the whole slavery dynamic. Even as a guy who is African, have African heritage, my mum and dad are both Nigerian, you know, slavery is in everywhere around the world. But, you know, even as first generation in the UK, you know, we face prejudice and racism. I know I have personally growing up and stuff like that. And
I don't think these guys understand the magnitude. When you're hired by a person, a boss, there is owners of NBA teams who lost the right to own franchises from simple racist comments. The Clippers owner, ex-owner, what's his name again? Donald Sterling was talking on a private conversation with his ex-girlfriend, his girlfriend at the time, a young black girl, telling them he doesn't want her to bring black guys to the game, blah, blah, blah. Comments like that will have that guy removed from his right to own a NBA franchise. CEOs of companies had to take extended leaves for racist comments. People at Netflix, CEOs, like there's ramifications. There's repercussions for these actions. You don't just make these comments all willy-nilly like it's nothing, like you just own a bunch of niggas. But only in the entertainment industry, you have Flacco and somebody like him just like too much leniency, way too much leniency.
There's certain things that, or certain feelings and connotations that will come up if somebody who...
Nah, because, Tim, there's a lot of, we're going to see it in this next panel coming up. There's a lot of black folks caping for her and defending her and saying that other black folks are sensitive because they're pretty much copying that Destiny rhetoric. Destiny tried to get on air and try to call black people the new trans and say we're sensitive to shit. Meanwhile, he is... You know what? I'm not talking about Destiny. This nigga's a cuck. Let's move on.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
He's not black who will say something like slavery was embellished. Do you get what I'm saying? And that was something that, I believe that me and top producer, we both spoke to Paul, off camera, and we
don't care.
Let me tell you.
Ground. I've been saying that Charleston White is a rapist from time, but everybody had to enlighten me that that's just his humor and that's his jokes. So apparently he's excessively joking about grape and putting that behind his name comfortably, but it's just a joke. He's not serious, apparently.
We made it very clear that, using the word slavery or saying the phrase slavery was embellished, it just is not, it's just not cool. Like, you can't be saying things like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, slavery was a horrible, tragic, disgraceful period in history, which happened specifically to, when it's specifically happened in the transatlantic slave trade. And it was a disgusting era in human history. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, she's explained to me, or explained to us as a team, as a network, what she meant by that comment. And I honestly, again, I will say, Pearl is not racist, She used a poor choice of words, and, I believe we have checked her on it. We spoke to her directly without holding back and stuff like that. It's not some situation where, oh my God, Pearl's the boss and she's the slave owner and we have to all be shaking in our boots. Like, it's absolutely not like that at all. That is it. And the people that try to make it out to be like that are people who are probably jealous and wish they were in a position like mine or like top producers or like any of...
Stop the cap. It's a total fabrication.
A position like yours, nigga, you have more subscribers, but you're working for somebody else at YouTube. Like, come on, man. And what are we doing out here? Jealous of somebody that's working for somebody? Those are the people that are calling you out?
Because we're doing well. That's what I honestly believe. But anyway, let's carry on.
And I'd argue that Roots was a light depiction of the savagery that my forefathers had to go through to ensure that I would be here today. But let me explain a little bit further how thoroughly that this actually is, because for me it comes down to a question of ethics. You're interviewing a known Nazi sympathizer.
He has to stop saying that because you were watching the interview and you had no problem with it until you found out she said some negative shit. So it's not about the interview with the man, it's about what she said, is it not? Or am I confused?
And now that I've had the opportunity to digest all of the information...
I mean, I think you mean now that you've had the opportunity to digest the backlash from your viewers in real time in your chat room on your super chat, now that you've had a chance to digest that and realize this was not a brush fire that was going to burn out and go away, this was an inferno that was just getting started, I think that's what you meant to say. I think that's what you meant to say.
Anti-black creator and not offering any pushbacks whatsoever. And
I agree with him there. I think that apart from just like the mistake of bringing on Nick Fuentes, which in my opinion, I think that was a mistake on Pearl's part. You know, obviously it's up to her discretion, whoever she wants to bring on her channel, you know.
Tim, do you know why so much of these people that have so many subs still don't want to be their own boss? It's because your sub count really doesn't matter if you're not putting out consistent amount of content that's doing retention and making you money, because you have people like Spoken Reasons, who has over like 2 million subs, who's getting absolutely sabotaged by the algorithm. He puts out something, it does 0 views. I don't know if he's being sabotaged by the algorithm, but some people have a lot of subs, and if they don't have the content behind it, the subs don't mean anything. And if your channel's not booming and popping like that, your sub count don't mean anything. Like, certain people will have a lot of live viewers watching the show, but they will get no views after the show's done. Some people like me will have barely any people watching the show and end up with thousands of views sometimes. Like, things are tricky for certain channels the way you run it through the algorithm, and some people don't have enough success on their own channel to facilitate their bills, so they don't want that pressure of being an entrepreneur. They wanted that security of working like a 9-to-5 regular job that most people work, while having that look of the entrepreneur boss type lifestyle. Like Sharp. Sharp's a no jumper self-contractor since he doesn't want to be an employee, but it's like, my nigga, to get your own studio space if you really want to be a boss.
It's her channel, she's grown it, she's worked hard on it, she can do whatever she wants, right? And nobody can tell her who she can't bring on her channel, right? But in my opinion, I feel like that particular personality was not he just wasn't a good guest. He was not somebody that should be given a platform like that. That's just my personal opinion. And also, just like what MTR was saying, there was no like black representative.
All right, this is rough, y'all. Y'all can see this on King Rich's channel. I've kind of lost interest in this reaction part of this, so let's move this forward. Let's get into, hold on, I want to get into this part where he sabotages the black creators, and then we'll move on to the next part where Pearl's getting interrogated by a panel full of niggas.
Jesus Christ.
Full accountability. For those of you guys that have followed my platform for a long time, do understand that I've selected, at least I thought I've selected, with a fine-tooth comb who I have chosen to work with. And you guys already...
But bro, the thing is, everybody says things wrong. Everybody makes mistakes, bro. Like, at the end of the day, again, I'm not, caping.
Cap.
I'm not simping.
Cap.
Yeah. I'm not trying to, cover up people's mistakes or try to make out something it's not. No, I think that she did mess up by bringing Nick Fuentes, and I do think she messed up by saying slavery was embellished. She may agree or disagree. But at the end of the day, everybody F's up sometimes. Nobody is 10-10 perfect all of the time. So for now, especially when you know this, Pearl, now you're like, I disavow and excommunicate.
It can take you 50 years to build up a quality reputation. It would only take 5 seconds to ruin it. And people don't understand that. They want all sorts of second and third chances. Sometimes when you know who somebody is, you kind of make up your mind. But it is what it is. I'm not telling people to. I'm not out here to free people. Do what you want to do, nigga. I don't want people to misinterpret this and think I'm trying to make sure this nigga walks away on some B1 shit. He has to be B1 as well. Like, nah, you can do whatever you want to do, nigga. Like, nobody cares. Let's get back into this.
Ricardo and all of this, and I thought I knew who this person. But it's kind of weird, and especially for the fact that you've had conversations with this person off, behind the camera as well. It's kind of like, I don't know.
Or a so.
As I was saying. Let's just start talking
right here.
Put up on Jump Street. I want you guys to go check out and follow the following.
No, man, I'm not trying to hear. Now he wants to start talking about other female, like, bro. I'm not really interested about other one. I take it off the screen, man. Let me just say my bit, bro.
Yeah, so that's when he was shouting out the black women content creators. This nigga was not having it at all. Allegiance to Pearl. Let's get into Pearl in this interview.